Hi, I'm Roxy Murray, the multiple sclerosis fashionista, a black, queer, disabled femme, MS and disability activist, whose focus is on creating better disability, visibility and representation in the arts and health sectors. Doing so through the medium of art and fashion to empower others on their personal journeys. Navigating through life with a disability or invisible illness can be extremely difficult, and even more so as a queer individual of colour. That's why I created my podcast at sickening_podcast during this pandemic, so individuals could sit down and spill some tea on the realities of living within multiple intersections with me, Roxy, in a safe space. The podcast highlights the real, unfiltered stories of disability and health warriors, talking openly about disabled and queer joy, disabled sexual empowerment, mental health and how to release grief after a health diagnosis. I create videos and content to celebrate the beauty and true diversity and needs of the community. By using my hashtag #WeAreNotInvisible, I continue to bring visibility to invisible illnesses. I hope you enjoyed today's talk, all about the realities of living with a disability within the COVID pandemic. Frida Kahlo once said, "I paint my own reality. The only thing I know is that I paint because I need to. And I paint whatever passes through my head without any other consideration." Living life as a queer femme with a chronic illness and disability is not easy. And the pandemic created a whole range of other issues. Isolation and fear are all words that come to mind when I think about the pandemic. Not because it was so different to my normal everyday life, full of anxiety, fatigue, and days where I was going through weeks only interacting with my partner at home and no one else. But more because the wider society had joined my everyday reality, and because I started to see the adaptations companies and institutions had made for the able-bodied, non-chronic masses, and how quickly they managed to do so. Still, however, with all the adaptations they had put in place, they still somehow managed to forget us disabled, chronically ill individuals during this time. And I say this time, but this time is still now. Not being able to go outside to attend things as important as our health appointments, or to even meet our loved ones for in-person conversations, can and has for many really affected our mental health. Like many others, during this time, I turned to the arts as therapy to understand and release my emotion. First, creating a visual podcast to connect and talk to individuals worldwide, having open conversations, sharing stories to help each other cultivate good and positive mental health patterns, and to advocate for the changes we desire. The second being fashion. My personal identity is wrapped within the art of fashion. It's a place I feel comfortable in, and where I most often visit to express my feelings. So it was a natural choice of canvas to allow my hands to be truly free with a paintbrush, allowing pure, unfiltered emotion to channel through my fingertips. Fashion, therapy, and activism for me are all intertwined. Fashion is not just a construction of a garment, but it can be used to convey an opinion, feeling, or like. It can be used as a code and goes far beyond just aesthetic values. Throughout history, fashion has been used to liberate both femme and queer individuals. Women's rights advocates took to the issue of dress reform as part of their agenda to promote women's rights and equality, while the queer community used fashion as a way to identify each other, signaling everything from our sexual identities, tastes or kinks, to in more recent times using fashion as a way to gender affirm or celebrate our queer identities openly and unapologetically. Like Frida Kahlo said, she paints her own reality, and so do I. Fashion is my reality and has become my own personal choice for my disability activism and a tool I use to cure my mental health and bring calm to my universe. It helps me to be visible around those who want to ignore the needs of the disabled, queer and femme communities. And it is now helping to change stigmas of what is deemed beauty or beautiful worldwide, given space and hope for change. But the change we need is equity, not equality. Equality means each individual or group of people is given the same resources or opportunities, and that is not enough. We need equity, the quality of being fair and impartial, recognizing that each person has different circumstances and allocating exact resources and opportunities to create an equal outcome for all, providing what we need to succeed. We need a future with equity at its core, and I believe the arts are a good place to start, this event being a beautiful step in the right direction. We need a future that takes into consideration the needs of the individual, that understands that factors like mental health, location, sexual identity, disability, and race all play parts into how accessible the world is around you, and adjusting to create the relevant resources and changes to make it so. Our struggles and illnesses may be invisible, but we are not, and we will no longer remain invisible for the comfort of others. There is great strength in visibility and sharing our stories and art. As Harriet Tubman said, every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach the stars to change the world.